Hey y'all, Luke here. Today I'm ripping off Scott the Waz's intro because I don't know how to start this video and I'm a gamer. Now, Call of Duty Zombies used to be one of my favorite games to play back on the 360 with my brother and his friends, which is why today we're going to be trying to make this out of this, these, and these. Oh, now the plan isn't to make an exact replica, I'm just going to make something that's obviously meant to be like it. So, the idea is that we'll have this cereal container that I bought from Walmart. It'll be upside down like so. There will be an opening right about here so that we can see the bottles on the inside, and then the rest of it will be painted red and white. So let's just get straight into it. As you can see here, I'm just placing masking tape over the part where I want it to remain see-through. I used the bottles as a reference for where I need to put the masking tape so that I could easily get the size right. Also, I thought that this would look better with rounded edges rather than just being sharp and square, so I cut some pieces of masking tape to make the corners rounded. I then repeated this process, but put it on the inside so that it'd be safe to paint there as well. Next up was cutting the picture. I secured it in place to make this a lot easier and safer because I'd quite frankly rather not lose any fingers today, since I'm using the jigsaw. I didn't make any exact measurements, I just cut it to where I thought it looked about right, which ended up being somewhere around 1.5 to 2 inches from the bottom. I had to reposition it so that I could easily, and more importantly, safely cut the other side. So after just a little bit more cutting, this part was done, leaving me with this. And just to make it a bit nicer, I sanded the edges that I had just cut. So now here we go, back outside to the spray painting table. The painting was probably the longest process of this project because I wanted to make sure that I did it right. I started off by priming it with a white, making sure that I covered it well. After letting it dry, I went back out to spray it with a red. I didn't bother to paint this part completely solid because I still have more painting to do to get that vintage and old and worn down look to it. And I accidentally got some red on the other piece, which actually needs to stay white, so I fixed that up quickly. I sprayed little bits of black on it as well, and a silver metallic along the bottom, again, just for that old, vintage, and worn down look. Then, I put a bunch of random strips of masking tape all around the machine, and did a bit of a light spraying, just to add some purposeful imperfections. After removing those pieces and letting the paint dry for a bit, I wrapped a line around, right where I want the division to be between the two colors. I started it off with just white, since that's the color I wanted it to be. But, to make it a bit more worn down and dirtied, I added some of this beige all around, then threw a few spots of black in there too. Then I painted it white again, but not too heavily so that there's still hints of the beige and black in there. But on camera, under this lighting, it really doesn't show up too well, but trust me, it's not 100% pure white. I then started to remove the masking tape before I remembered, oh yeah, that's right, I wanted to paint the inside. That was the whole point of putting masking tape in there. So, that part was super simple. I just did a single layer of a matte black. And so far, this is what it's looking like. Not too bad. Huh. Lemon lime. Yep, I'm using 7-Up. I could have just used water since it's mainly intended to be a decorational item, but this way it feels a bit more authentic, being that it's an actual soda in the bottle. Because, you know, it's perk-a-cola, not perk-a-water. In order to make it the color it needs to be, I've got some red food dye with me. And then, after just a few drops, I'm shaking it up to mix it in. Though, in retrospect, it would have been a better idea just to flip it upside down momentarily. I mean, it still worked, but clearly opening it up afterwards was not a good idea. So, I had to add a little extra back in. Then, for the second bottle, the same thing again. Pour, drop, mix, and we now have our 2 bottles of Juggernog. So next what we need to add is the label to this. The way that we're going to do that is by using this HP sprocket printer. So this part is simple enough, it doesn't really need much explaining, I'm just cutting around the edges of the circle. What else is there to say? The nice thing about the paper that the sprocket uses is that it can be used like a sticker. Peel off the back, center it nicely, stick it on there, and there it is. Oh, and I also cut a smaller one for the neck of the bottle, to make it look a little more complete. One important detail missing from this machine is the label. I printed out the sheet of paper so that I could trace it onto the machine. However, either my Sharpie wasn't good enough or the paper was too thick because it really didn't do all that much, even after tracing over it a second time. So what I ended up doing was removing the paper and drawing it myself. Though it still did help to have traced the paper initially because there's still somewhat of an outline for me to go off of. Then I got some dark red acrylic paint and painted in where I had drawn. Then, to make the logo for the top part, I printed it out, but because my printer doesn't have any ink right now, I actually had to trace it with a red Sharpie. So next, real quick before I add the LED lights in, I just need to make a couple quick cuts. As for actually putting the lights in, it was rather simple. It's just lined up around the inner side, wraps up and around that top piece, and right back down to the other side. That just about wraps it up. This was just another fun and quick, easy little project that I wanted to make, and I think it looks pretty cool, but I'll let you be the judge of that. So, without further ado, the final reveal. So I know these past two videos really haven't been anything exciting, just small little DIY projects, but going into next year I have plans for much bigger projects, which hopefully you'll get to see.
But you won't get to if you don't subscribe.
When I start working on them, I might actually post some previews on my Twitter at LukeTech, so if that's something you're interested in seeing, feel free to follow me there. Now currently I don't actually have anything posted there, but I will be using it soon. Probably. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll stick around for the next project. See ya!